No.
No, I didn't either. I wanted to watch it.
You look like Oz Fox.
You are listening to the Mental Summit.
your source for all things rock and roll.
Day, night, and welcome to the Metal Summit, your place for all things hard rock, metal, entertainment, and everything in between. I'm joined with my fellow co-hosts. We've got Jason, we've got Psycho Steve, we've got Angel, but more importantly than all of us, we are joined by rock photographer extraordinaire, Mr. Mark Weiss. Thank you so much for joining us.
How you doing? Thanks for having me, everybody.
Yay! Hey. Sure. And first and foremost, before we get into the most important business involving Mark, how's everything been going with the new situation we've had to deal with for the first time in 2020? How are you? How's your family? And how have you been dealing with everything?
Well, luckily I haven't been affected personally. I just feel it's like this is a new world. It's a change in time. This is just the beginning. Everyone's figuring out how to cope, how to deal with it, and how to make money, and how to be happy, and how to do things. So this is a new world.
Absolutely. No, 100%. And that's great to hear. You know, we've all had different situations when it comes to our various hosts with the COVID situation. But, you know, it's definitely, you know, handling everything the best way that we know how, and, you know, thoughts and prayers to keep everybody healthy for sure. But first and foremost, the first thing that we have to get into is congratulations are in order for the so far success of your book, The Decade That Rocked.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
absolutely.
Great. Yeah.
So the floor is yours. First and foremost, you know, talk about the book. What was it about putting out the book, and your thoughts on putting it together?
You know, I put it off for like a long time, you know, decades. I've been approached, you know, maybe 20 years ago to do a book, and I'm like, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready yet. And then finally, I felt like 7 years ago is when I signed the contract with the publishing company, and I just was in the right mindset to do it and to dedicate the time and effort, because I knew it was going to be like a commitment. I didn't know it was going to be a commitment for 7 years before it came out, but it took some hills and valleys and different turns. But I'm very, very proud of it, and I'm glad I waited. And fortunately, but unfortunately, I put it out now. You know, I feel that people want to read, want to see things. So I feel like this book kind of gives people more of an opportunity to see what I did and what I accomplished back in the 80s, where they can reflect a little bit more. So, like I said, unfortunately, because of all this shit that's happening right now, but fortunately that I have something that can bring something to the table where it can make them feel good.
Absolutely, 100%, because, you know, we talk regularly, as well as all the music fans out there. You know, we talk regularly about our sadness with not being able to enjoy the product live, but there is something that's worth being said about the fact that a book of this magnitude and the work of yourself couldn't really have come out at a better time to really make, you know, those fans that are longing for that live experience, you know, get a little something out of it.
Well, you know, it's giving me more time to put to the book, because this summer, I mean, I was planning on following around the Motley tour and the Whitesnake and the Sammy Hagar, and, like, you know, try to like set up little pop-up shops, like trailing these tours and shooting some shows too, and having fun, you know, traveling in like a Winnebago and with some friends, and just like partying it up, have the time of my life. I mean, I was really looking forward to that, and I was, you know, setting that all up, and when all this happened. So the way I look at it is, you know, hopefully a year we have the vaccine and things will get to some sort of normality, and I can do what I really wanted to do and what I hope to do.
Absolutely, 100%. Well, let's bring in our bearded co-host extraordinaire, Psycho Steve. I think it's your turn, friend.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you again. It's an honor to have you on. My question is, with all the pictures you have taken, I need to know, because you were fortunate and thankful for sending us like not the actual book itself, but a lot of the pictures in your book.
Right.
You have pictures that are not posted, like incriminating photos that like an artist said, hey, don't ever post that. Don't ever,
Which ones are you talking about?
Anyone, like any specific one, like any particular artist, there's like a picture that you took that they're like, whoa, that's a little too racy. That will get me divorced,
Right.
or get me with my girlfriend.
Actually, the Joe Perry photo, because in 1982 I worked for Weiss magazine,
right?
And I shot naked. Weiss magazine, for all those that don't know, it was like Playboy used to own it, and they sold it, and then I started working for them, and I came up with a concept doing naked women with rock stars, and half naked, nothing crazy,
Right.
except for Motorhead. They got a little nuts. But we shot Joe Perry. We even did Rick James, Hulk Hogan. We did Ozzy Osbourne, Carmen Appice, who lost his Ludwig endorsement because of it. But in the book is one of my favorite photos. It's Joe Perry. When he was in the Joe Perry project, he left Aerosmith, and it was with this beautiful blonde girl on his motorcycle, and that took place in my house in Marlborough, New Jersey. And it actually was my girlfriend at the time, Denise. And he actually thanked me later for doing that shoot, because when it came out, he told me that was the nail in the coffin when he got divorced. Like he goes, when his wife saw it, she was like, all right, that's it. So
Awesome.
Wow. Dude, that's totally wild for sure. Jason, let's kick it up to you, man.
So Mark, what I know with photography, you're more behind the camera and behind the scenes, but at some point you became recognizable along with the artists that you take photos of. When was the first time, or do you remember the first time that you were recognized outside of the circle of the music industry for taking your iconic photos?
You mean like, when did someone say, "Are you Mark Weiss?" Or
Yeah, like, "Hey, you're Mark Weiss. You took
right,
photos of blah blah blah."
Right. Well, when I started working for, well, actually, when I worked for Circus, like I'm a ham. Who doesn't want a picture with like a rock star and put it in Circus magazine? So I remember when I did my first photo shoot with Ozzy in 1981. He wore a pink tutu. And in the table of contents, there was a picture of me and Ozzy, and it said with photographer Mark Weiss, because it made Circus look good. So, I was 21. It's my first shoot with Ozzy. Really, one of my first shoots with like a rock star to that magnitude. And they put my photo in there, and it was cool. And then since then, I've been taking pictures and putting them in, and so it's always been kind of like a thing where I'm in there. So I did create some kind of a fan base, I guess, and people reached out to me. They wrote me fan mail letters, and and I love the fans. And I still have a big binder that I keep of all my fan mail, and I am slowly going to be posting them and trying to find who they came from and see where they're at now. So that's one of the things I would be doing. And in my book, The Decade That Rocked, in my book chapter openers, there's always a one photo of one of my favorite fan photos in each year. And I am going to have a contest where if you can identify yourself as that's you, that you'll get the photo of you and your friends in the audience, plus the photo from that show.
Nice. That's pretty.
That's
cool.
awesome.
I don't think anybody's ever done that before.
Yeah, right now,
No.
if you go to the decoratethatrock.com, there's a picture of, I think it's 1983, at Def Leppard, and these three girls, and they were like 16 at the time, and they're holding up panties, and it's like it's a great photo. I love it, So if you're one of those girls,
Some of them might not want to come forward.
well, you do, you'll get a free photo if it means anything to you.
Angel, speak up now.
Wow. Well, a lot of the fans have already spoken up, so I just want to say hi to Julie,
Bobby, our rock and roll brother, thanks for joining us. Matt Porter, welcome back. Okay, now fan questions. Julie wants to know, did you ever get sued for taking a picture of anyone?
Did I ever get sued?
Mhm.
No, no, no lawsuits, fortunately for me. I didn't do anything that was too crazy or anything. I always pride myself in getting my photographs approved. If anything, if a band didn't like one of the photos I took, then they would contact me and I just wouldn't post it or not post it, publish it in the magazine. So that's part of, why I got the access I did. They trusted me. We hung out, we partied, I was one of them. Until now. Now that I'm gonna start showing some of my photographs, who knows? Maybe I will get sued.
Hopefully not. We got Brian. Brian wants to know, if you could go back in time and shoot one artist or band that you did not get a chance to photograph, who would it be and why?
Well, I think I photographed anyone and everyone in the 80s. So if you go back to my childhood, when I started loving music in the 70s, and the bands that I loved was Led Zeppelin, the Rolling Stones. I've shot them both live. Got great photos live, which are in my book, both the Stones and Led Zeppelin. But to be a tour photographer for them or do some kind of photo shoot with Mick or Keith and Robert or Jimmy would be awesome. And of course, going back a decade, the three J's: Jim Morrison, Jimmy Hendrix, and Janis Joplin. It's But then if I did shoot them back then, I'd probably be about 85 years old right now.
Our friend Matt Porter has a question. Matt wants to know, which bands do you listen to, and do you have any favorite albums?
I love Physical Graffiti. I love Toys in the Attic. I love Night Songs by Cinderella. Motley Crue, almost any album they did. Shout the Devil, Theater of Pain, Girls, 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 of course, and Skid Row debut album, of course, is you can't go wrong with that one, and of course, Appetite for Destruction. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I have
the obvious bunch. I'm no different than the guys out there.
I have a question. Who was the easiest artist to photograph, and who was the hardest one to photograph?
Well, that's an easy question, because the easiest artist was Ozzy Osbourne, because he was just a jewel. At the age of 21, when I first shot him, he just did whatever I want him to do. He's Mark, what do you want? Do you want to do this? You want to do that? And I would tell him to move this way. We had some fun. So definitely Ozzy. And on the other end, it would be Glenn Danzig. And in the book, I do talk about it, for the first time. I did the photos. The record company wanted me to do photos for their Mother album, for the promo and publicity and all that. So they hired me to do publicity photos, and they said if we like the photos, we'll buy them for the album packaging, because we want to do a photo in the gatefold in the album. The 12-inch, it was a gatefold, and they wanted a photo for that. They said if you can get a shot that looks great, then we'll buy it from you. And they came up to my studio in New York. They all came in very quiet. I said, not too many words exchanged. I never shot him before, never met him. And we just started shooting. It's kind of a weird thing, not to hang out before and not know him, but we did. So it was professional. Put him in front of the background, started doing pictures, and I started taking shots of him. And I was trying to make him look good and do what I do, make him look like they don't have double chins, or, I know what better angle it is for him, what photographers do. And they weren't really listening to me, so what I usually do when they don't listen, and often they don't, but not often, but sometimes there's one or two in the band that just don't get it. So I would physically take them and like kind of mold them. Like I would like move their elbows forward or, do that. But I would do it in a fun way, in a kidding way. And sometimes I'd even tickle them or, it was just having fun. That's how we kind of connected. So with Danzig, I asked them a million times to turn their head, to lean forward, to do this, to do that. But anything I said, it's like I wasn't even there. And I'm like, look, you guys hired me, like to do what I do. And you're not. So I went and do what I usually do. And I went to the first guy. I don't even know their names, but I went to the first guy and I held him and I kind of like twisted him a little bit and leaned forward and he was good. Next guy, I kind of twisted him again, little angle, good. I got to Glenn. He's like, don't touch me.
Huh.
Just take the picture. I said, all right. So I backed up a little bit and took the picture. I said, all right, we're done. And that was it. And then actually, funny enough, then they left and then he's like, Mark, Glenn goes, Mark, well, we'll do one more shot. And they come out without shirts on. I'm like, what? I'm like, all right. Took a few shots without their shirts on. And that's in my book for the first time. I never published those or anything. So, and that's my, that's the story, Jerry.
Oh, that's awesome.
Crazy.
That's so cool. Yeah, like I'm a Danzig guy from like all those back in like early albums and stuff like that. Yeah, so that lineup would have been Glenn with Eerie Von, Chuck Biscuits, and John Christ. So,
oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what the lineup would have been at that time.
Yeah.
So one of the things with us being like, very fan interactive and, a lot of, people that watch this show that love to get involved with the guests that we have. One of the things I think is kind of a cool and important question to ask you is like, what was it for you about journalism, photography? I mean, some people want to be a musician, some people want to be a fireman, some people want to be a teacher. Like, what drew you to photography and in particular music photography?
Well, I didn't want to be a lawnmower. I didn't want to have a landscaping business because that's what I was doing to make $5 a lawn. I was only 12, but I was mowing lawns and I never did good in school because I couldn't remember stuff. I had a motorcycle accident when I was 12. Wow. And it kind of threw my memory around. I couldn't remember stuff. Still to this day, I can't remember. So, I just kind of fake it. So what am I going to do? So I didn't want to mow lawns the rest of my life. And then all of a sudden I get this camera handed to me, for mowing someone's lawn. And then I started going to concerts and then I started selling them in front of Madison Square Garden for $1 a piece. And then I started meeting girls because they were all excited about what I was doing. And then I got arrested at a Kiss concert in 1977 for selling my pictures and went to jail. Then I went to Circus Magazine with my portfolio. And then they used my photo of Steven Tyler for a centerfold. And then Steven Tyler liked my photo in the magazine and started working for them. And then this led to that and that led to this. And what else am I going to do? All right. That's the story, Jerry.
Fair enough. No, for sure. They arrested you for what, like bootleg selling of your photos, basically?
Yeah. I was I was 17. I was in the boot in this big little van with all the shirt sellers, like bootlegging things. I was this kid with 100 photos selling for $1 a piece. So, thank you, thank you for trusting me that.
They so lack vision. No, absolutely. Psycho Steve, take it away, brother.
Okay. Now, so you had film and you have digital now. Do you have a preference of format?
I'm not a tech guy. Like you put a camera in my hand. Like this is my first camera right here. This is what I got when I was 12. Bell and Howell Canon. It's very, 36 exposures.
Does it still work?
Yeah, look. So you open it up, you put a roll of film in, like, you put a roll of film in, you spool it, you close it, you do it. It's a whole process. You click it, and that's what I did. Now I have this, and it's like, you can take 1,000 photos and it doesn't cost anything. So, what was the question?
I give you permission for that photo, by the way.
What was
I'm not going to sue you. Get you arrested.
Lost the question. What's the question?
No, I asked if you're more a film guy or a digital guy.
Okay, so it was a good lead-in. I just forgot where I was going. Definitely digital. Takes more. You can't go wrong. Back then, we had no choice. It's like you had 36 chances to get the shot. You had to wait for the moment. Later on, I got my second camera and then my third, of course. And then you were like, you're just juggling them around like a maniac, which I still do with my digital, because each one has a different lens and whatnot. But now it's like you have one camera, a couple cameras, two lenses, and you can just shoot thousands of photos. The downfall is just in the post-production where you like have to edit them, and but at least you get the shots. It's a lot easier today. Let me tell you, less stress. I used to go on tour with the bands. I used to have to get 20 rolls of film. You have to like buy the film. I mean, it used to cost a fortune, 36 photos. It's like, like $30-40, for color. And in black and white, you have to develop it. And that was a pain in the ass. I mean, in the beginning, it's fun, but after a while, it's like, you got to go in this dark room, and it's fun in the beginning, but after a while, it doesn't get fun. And then you send it out. You got to make sure, hopefully you get it back and it looks good. And then you got to go through the security and the scanners, and it was a pain in the ass, but now it's pretty easy.
Cool.
Right on. Absolutely. Jason, how about yourself, bro? Chime in.
So I got two questions. One's a quick one. The first question is, when was the last time you used your first camera, since you still have it?
The last time I used it? Which one? What do you mean?
Your first camera that you showed us.
Oh, this one? Oh. Probably. I traded this in 1978. I think I got, or no, 79. I got an AE1. After I got the centerfold of Steven Tyler in Circus, I'm like, all right, I got to treat myself, and I got an AE1, and it was kind of like, it wasn't like this. This is like, geez, I don't know, you can kill someone with this thing. This is heavy. That's
like magnesium body, right?
Yeah, but no, I got an AE1. And it looked pretty cool. And then I got different lenses and all that. I had I got in Circus, and I started, then they started hiring me, like when Van Halen played in '79 at the Convention Hall in Asbury Park. I got an assignment. I met Eddie and David and Michael and all those guys. And I was 19. They were just starting out too, really. Well, they had the second album out. But, I got some really cool images. Actually, in my book, there's a picture of Eddie backstage from that show, full page. It's one of my favorite photos of Eddie.
So,
Nice.
Considering that you've met all these people, is there anybody that you've gotten close to over the years and consider having a close friendship today?
You want to know who I'm still friends with from back then?
Yeah, like you just hang out with anyone that you've started working with back in the day, and then it grew into a friendship.
Yeah, usually like all my relationships in the 80s, I continue to this day. I'm not every one of them, but I'd say 90% of them, like, and when I say friendships, it's like friendship in the music business is kind of like, uh, what we're up to, it's not like, it's not like you call them every day and how you doing and all this, but when things happen and you want a favor or you want them to help you out on something, they come to the table, and so they're friends. So like most of them really, Dee Snider, Ozzy, Tom Kiefer, Sebastian Bach, Snake, just to name a few. Really, the guys from Anthrax, when especially putting together this Rob Halford, I mean, he did my forward, like, Tony Iommi. I mean, if you look, Joe Perry, Steven Tyler, like Alice Cooper, like really anyone in my book, when I reached out to them to say that I'm doing this book, will you say a few words? They all came to the table and said, of course, and that meant a lot to me, like, them not forgetting about me, and the things they say about me was really nice. And because really I relied on their memories about me and my photo shoots, because again, not to act like someone that's look martyring or anything like that, but I don't remember a lot of this stuff, so I used their memories from the interviews to help me remember. And then I finally, looking at the photos, listening to the memories and what they're saying about me. And a lot of times, and Don Dokken, I love him. He's one of my best friends. He, it helped me put in perspective our relationships. And unfortunately, I feel like, damn, why don't, because every time I see these guys, I always tell them like, give me a story about us, because they know, any of my close friends, and now everyone, I guess, knows about my situation, not that they remember it or anything, but, I always, whenever I see them, I ask them, tell me a story that we spent together. And they tell me the story, and it's like, I'm almost feeling like I'm like outside of the story, and they're telling me something that like I wasn't even there. And I'm like, wow. And they're so detailed about what I did. And it kind of sounds like I would do something like that, but I don't remember it, so kind of sucks, but, I wish I could remember those things, but, hey, what are you going to do? I also don't remember the bad shit that happened to me either. So.
Well, for sure. Absolutely. Angel, I'm going to jump in right quick just before I kick it to you and the Metal Summoners, because something about Jason's question and Mark's answer kind of inspired me to just kind of piggyback off of what he was saying real quick. And Mark, we were talking just briefly off the air about, so you've got the Monsters of Rock cruise that's been putting on so many concerts, with these bands so that they can perform for the fans and make some money while they're not able to tour, as well as, just looking out for the music scene in general. And a lot, especially over the last couple of months since your book's been out, they've been running yourself as well as like kind of like a commercial for your book right before they go live. And right. A lot of these artists have been speaking up with little blurbs and talks just about you, about the book, and they hold you in such high regard. They seem to have such a large amount of respect for you that I can't imagine that doesn't feel anything other than just phenomenal to see them saying that.
Yeah, it's cool. What's kind of weird is like, because I've been doing those, like I do these interviews. I have a site called rockscene.com, and I do interviews with these artists, and I just want, as a fan, I want their story up until they got famous. So I have these interviews on rockscene.com. I have about 100 or so, maybe more, with millions of views on it. And it's a 10-15-minute interview, and they talk about like their humble beginnings when they first got introduced to music up until they got the record deal, or up until they got famous, sometimes a little further. So so I've been doing that, And oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. What was the question?
Oh no, I was just talking about how what Monsters of Rock has kind of been running this preview
Okay.
about your book.
Okay, there goes page 22 in my book, motorcycle accident. Yeah, so I did this little promo clip. So after I do those interviews, the rock scene, which I was talking about, at the end, I said, tell me something about Mark Weiss, but pretend I'm not here, you know? So sometimes I'd leave because, you know, they'd feel weird. But, you know, just because, you know, I wanted to do some promo for my book. And I've been working on this book for 5 years. So I've been doing these little clips for like over 5 years. So I just kind of like, at the end of the interviews, I said, tell me something about you working with Mark, you know, and I'm the one asking the question. So, and then they would just, you know, open themselves up and they would talk. And then I had all these interviews. And when I was ready to do the book, I put together a little promo clip and I just picked a little bit about each one. And I'm looking back, I don't remember interviewing them and doing all that, but it was great to have all that stuff. You know, it's like, you know, it's just priceless and it made me feel great. Of course. How could it not?
Absolutely, for sure. Angel, take it away with the Summoners, brother.
Cool. I just want to say hi to Sue. She has a question. If you could give one good piece of advice to get started in photography as a profession, kind of to get your foot in the door, what would it be?
Just do it. Is that the Nike commercial? Just do it. Just do it. You know, like anything, you know, anything you want to do or you want to be, you just got to do it. You know, you just don't give up. Just keep going with what you love to do and you will have success. Don't give up. You know, you need to have talent. You need to know your craft and study it and just do it. Just do it.
A question from Dwayne. Have you ever shot Iron Maiden?
Oh yeah, I shot Iron Maiden. I shot Iron Maiden when they opened up for Ozzy in 1981 with Paul in the band. I did a photo shoot, and Rod McSwede, the manager, was the Eddie character. He had a rubber mask of Eddie, and he put it on his head. And I did a photo. Actually, I think there's a photo in the book of that. And we actually, after the photo shoot, after the show, when he played with Ozzy, we went back to their hotel, this dive hotel in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And we set up, we moved all the beds around, like they were all rooming together, like two in a room. So we took one of the rooms and we like put the beds to one side. I set up a backdrop and got the band in and did my first photo shoot with Iron Maiden. And then since then, you know, then Bruce got in the band. I started shooting them. I did a photo shoot when they had all the tombs and all that. I forget what album that was, but I did a really cool photo shoot with all that stuff. But you know, every time they came around, I would do a photo shoot and do live shots, some backstage photos. Great band, you know. How can you deny Iron Maiden? You know, the masters.
Julie wants to know: did you ever take any pictures of Freddie Mercury?
I did live only. Like Queen was one of my first bands that I shot when I was sneaking in my camera and selling them in front of Madison Square Garden. So the first time I shot them was 1976. I don't have great shots of them, like not good enough where I would sell them to a magazine or anything like that. But the next tour in 1978, I got closer and I got some great shots. Freddie had the red suspenders and the glossy, plasticky kind of pants. He looked like a really cool rock star. And then I shot him every tour since then at the Garden and in Philly, wherever there was in the area. But yeah, great band, great energy, undeniable. One of the bands I would have loved to toured with and did more work with, of course. I did actually do more work when Adam Lambert, the last tours, a couple of tours ago. I shot a few shows in the East Coast. They gave me access to shoot, to shoot the whole show and do some things, and that was good.
Cool. Okay, I got a question from Brian. Brian, I'm gonna read this question as best as I possibly can. I wish I had never went on blank tour. I guess if there's a tour you wish you had never gone on.
No, I can't say that's anything, because I had fun with every tour I was on. It was great. To me, like all these bands that were, Motley, Dokken, Ozzy, Great White, any of these bands, when I went on the road with them, and I would only come out for like a week or two. I would stay on their tour bus. I would travel on the planes, whatever they had at the time. But I was like the new girlfriend, I was like the one that came out for a couple of weeks and then they got rid of, so to break up the monotony, oh, Mark's out, so now we're gonna have fun now, because tours with rock bands are very they go on tour for a year with the same bunch of guys, so they look for little sidetracks and things. So I was kind of like a little sidetrack when I came out, and they also knew that when I came out, I get them in the magazines.
I got a good question from Matt. Matt wants to know, with photos being so easily copied, pasted, and shared on the internet, how do you protect your work? I
put it out there. I put my watermark on there now. I don't mind people sharing it. When radio stations or record companies or merchandising companies or bootleggers, they grab the images and they try to profit from it, then I go after them. I have a lawyer that does that. But yeah, just the fans that want to post my photos, yeah, go for it. I want to share my work.
Cool.
And I have a question. You actually you shot the Slippery When Wet album. I know that originally the cover of the model was supposed to be on the cover, but then they went with the trash can. How much pressure was that to kind of have to come up with a new album cover like immediately?
Well, it wasn't pressure for me, but it was pressure for John. John was the one that, it's his album. He's the one that wrote the songs with the band. He needed to come up with it. I just followed orders. I started 6 months ago shooting them with beards for, the name of the album was originally going to be called Wanted Dead or Alive. So originally they all came to my studio in New York City, one at a time, dressed as, wearing beards, and I, with like Billy the Kid type hats, Western motif. And then I posted that together. I put it together as like a Wanted poster, and that was the album cover, Wanted, Dead or Alive, because John had an infatuation with, cowboy, the cowboy theme and whatnot. So that was going to be it. And they had the song, of course. And then the record company didn't want to go that route, and they said, we got to do something different. And then they had me come to Vancouver, and we did. Actually, I went to Vancouver and did the Wanted theme there too, but we ended up doing the Slippery When Wet after that, inspired by the Number 5 Club in Vancouver, strip club where the girls would go in a cage, with plexiglass, and then, put that together with a road sign and put two and two together. And next thing you know it, we have a concept of Slippery When Wet, which was awesome. And then that was the time when the PMRC was just kicking in 1985. I actually went with Dee Snider to the PMRC hearings. If you look back on the internet, you can see me walking in behind him and Frank Zappa with my cameras. There was all these like short hair guys, with their cameras, and there was me with the long hair, like trailing behind Frank and Dee, going there to document his appearance there. So it was. I just lost my train of thought again. What was the question?
No, we're talking about the Bon Jovi cover album.
The Bon Jovi.
The Slippery When Wet.
Yes, that's it. So they decided, because of the PMRC, they decided to do something else, try to come up with something else, because the girl with the boobs, they thought it would be, Walmart wouldn't press it or wouldn't put it in the display case. So what we ended up doing is, we didn't know. And then John called me up and he said, we got to figure this out. We got like a day to figure this out. I was like, all right, let me know. I'm around. So he calls me up. He comes up to my studio in New York. He said, get me a black plastic bag. I said, okay. I stapled it to the wall, and he wanted me to spray some water on it. And then he just wrote, it was just him, Slippery When Wet. And he said, take a picture of that. I said, okay. I took a picture. He didn't wait for the Polaroid. He said, just send that to the record company. That's it. And that was it.
Awesome.
Nice.
There was actually, in between that, the art director had an idea to get a bar of soap and wrote Slippery When Wet in it, and we were all like, what? And so I went through the motions on it. He spent like $3,000 on a hand model and the soap and all that. It's in the book, though. Like the first time, you could see what it would have looked. It's don't drop the soap. Scroll,
That would be a fun picture to see.
Yeah, there is.
Damn you, Tipper Gore.
For sure. So, Mark, one of the questions I wanted to ask, just because it was based off of a quote that I heard you say once is, I'm a big Cinderella fan, and I absolutely love and adore Night Songs. And you were quoted when you were doing the cover shoot for Night Songs as you shoot day for night. And I would love to hear you kind of elaborate on what you meant by that when you were saying it to the band, because I can imagine for a darker night shoot, you saying I shoot day for that probably made the guys go, wait, what?
Right. I had no idea that, I guess like years later when I interviewed Tom for my rock scene, I asked him about it. And for the first time, I didn't know he was like, he had he said what he did. And It was awesome. He's like, he couldn't figure out why we were doing this photo shoot for Night Songs during the day. And as it appears, I had told him that, he goes, at the shoot, he goes, Mark, by the way, why are we shooting this during the day? And he claims that I said, and it's probably something that I said, he goes, I shoot day for night. And in his words, he's like, and I didn't know what the fuck that meant. But he trusted me, and they just went with it. And basically, and if you're a photographer or you know anything about photography, if you have a big hot flash and you flash it, and it's in daylight, it's gonna like wipe out the daylight. And so if you put some smoke and some gels, it's gonna like absorb all that, and it's not gonna know what the daylight is. And so I shoot day for night. And it's been a running joke since he told me the story of what I told him. So.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, right on. No, that's cool. I just found that to just kind of be like an interesting quote, and being that that's always been an album that's been so partial to me, when you agreed to do the show, I was like, I got to ask him that question just for me, because I'm curious, just being a Cinderella guy. So that's super duper cool. Psycho Steve, man, I think it's about that time for us to hear from our favorite Jew.
Okay, so the question is, being a Canon person all these years, all these musicians get endorsements from their instruments that they use. Do you have a Canon endorsement?
I don't think Canon does that kind of stuff. If they did, I'm here. If you want to give me a camera.
All right.
I don't
so
think
people at Canon, if you're watching.
Yeah, I know some people there. I'm actually, now that the book's out, they have these photo expos. I want to start doing my galleries, keynote. I want to start doing more keynote speaking, because now I feel like I have something to say. So I'm ready to take it to the next level where I can kind of do that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
Right on, for sure. Jason, how about yourself there, brother? Chime in.
So, Mark, being in the world of rock and metal, has there ever been a opportunity where you would go a different route of genre of music? And if so, who and how did it happen?
Well, everyone knows me as a rock and roll heavy metal photographer. But what you didn't know is while I was doing all that, I was making a living, and, I'm a photographer. Photographers, if they get a job to do this and do that, they do it. And so during the 80s, I worked for different magazines. I worked for Us Magazine, where I shot Drew Barrymore when she was in E.T. I did a photo shoot with her. Kim Basinger, Alec Baldwin, Rodney Dangerfield, Cheech and Chong, a lot of people, and these are people that I shot, in their homes, at photo studios. They were promoting a movie, and Us Magazine was a prominent magazine at the time, and I would do that. I would also shoot for Us Magazine, the rock bands. So it kind of gave me a little more access. Like the first time I really got to know Van Halen was in 1981 or 82 when Us Magazine was doing a feature on Van Halen. I already knew them. I already shot them for Circus, but now Us Magazine wanted to do a feature on them. So I got hired, and they said, they knew I knew them, so they knew I can get a little more access. So me and the writer, Vicky Joe, went out there, and we spent a few days with them. And then that's when they let me into their world, because they wanted everyone to know how crazy they were. And so they let me in a little bit more than they would have as if I was just a rock photographer. So that's when I developed my relationship with them, and then they ended up hiring me after that to do some other tours and things like that. So I don't know if I answered the question, but I might have went on a tangent. Sometimes I go on a tangent and then I forget where the question was. So what was the original question?
No, you're good. You're good. It was.
Did I answer it?
What other?
What was the question?
The question was, what other? Have you ever photographed any other genre, any other type of genre of music?
Right. I went back
who
there.
And when? I mean, how?
All right. So I worked for Us Magazine, and I also did. I worked for a German magazine called Bravo, and I shot like the Beverly Hills 90210 people, where Luke Perry. I shot 21 Jump Street. I shot Johnny Depp when they were out. So I didn't care if there were people and they were cool. I love shooting them, especially if they're famous. I mean, why not, And the fact that I was Ozzy's photographer and Motley Crue, they were like, cool, man. They took me in, so they gave me a little bit more. So, and I also shot The Cure and anybody. I mean, I just, who loves just shooting someone that made it to where they can play arenas and things like that. So I just love shooting people. And I just went with it. And then in the 90s, I even went to, like, I did one of the first photo shoots with NSYNC with Justin Timberlake. I spent the day with them. We was 16. Backstreet Boys, Christina Aguilera, I did one of her album covers, her Spanish album. Gwen Stefani, I did a cover for her. Little Kim, this magazine called Bravo, was a really big magazine in Germany, hired me to do this thing. So they got me the access. And once I got the access, they liked me, they liked my whole thing, they liked that I was a rock photographer and all this. Black Eyed Peas, I hung out with them. I did a lot of photos with them. Usher, Lil Wayne. I mean, people don't know all the stuff that I did. Wow. And one day it will come out, and I'll feature that in a book one day, because I have enough for those kind of guys too. But you know, rock and roll and heavy metal and rock is like where I came from, and that's really what I want people to know me for, especially in the beginning. And now the book, The Decade That Rocked, it's my time to, you know, show them where I'm from, and then I'll venture out into all these other things that I've done, you know. But I have a lot of books in me.
Nice.
Cool.
Right
Awesome.
on. Angel, how are the fans doing, my good dude?
Yes, we have Sue. She wants to know, what's your favorite camera to use?
I'm not a favorite guy with cameras. If it works, I got a battery that works. It's, you know, I use the Mark, what is it? I don't even know what it's called. What is it? Oh, the 5D, the Mark 4 or 5. Here, this is my favorite one. It's a full frame. It's a full frame. It's pretty fast. But they change, you know, every year that they get quicker and more megabytes and all that. But I like to have a full frame, and then I have my 70D because it has like the tilt screen. And sometimes when I'm photographing, I'll like be in the pit and you can like turn it. With this is like a flat screen, so you can't really like, it's just straight. This is I use this for wide stuff. But the 70D, I like, because I can hold it up in the air and I can turn the thing around. I can look at it and frame it and look at it like that. You can't do that with that one. But it's not a full frame, so it's a little bit. If you put the same lens on the 70D, it's a longer telephoto. So you know, if anyone's gonna buy equipment, I'd say get 2 cameras, get a full frame and get a regular 70, like a 70D or a Mark II, like a full frame and one of those other ones.
Cool. We got a question from Brian. Brian wants to know, being at a show shooting the headliner, which opener did you see that you knew that you would be shooting them as a headliner soon?
Definitely Motley Crue, for sure. Motley Crue.
A great question, actually.
No?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I first shot Motley Crue. Actually, I shot them in 1982. They were one of my first bands that I shot for Wii magazine, with naked women, with motorcycles and smoke and all that. We hung out. We had a good time. But then the next year, I shot them at the US Festival in '83, and nobody really knew who they were. And like they came out with songs that no one ever heard of, and they were singing the songs towards the end of the set. It was pretty cool. And then from then on, they started playing theaters on their own, headlining, selling them out. And then they get the Aussie tour, and then right after the Aussie tour, they started headlining. You know, the rest is history. They're doing stadiums now. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because the US Festival, they went on second right after Quiet Riot.
Yep.
And that leads up to. Go ahead.
No, I'm just
That
saying,
leads up to. No, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry, Angel. Go ahead, brother. No, keep going.
No, that leads up to my next question. Will you be touring next year and doing art festivals once this thing with Corona passes over?
Hold on a sec. I think I'm gonna sneeze. No. Yeah. I mean, I want to go on tour. I want to get a Winnebago. or some kind of traveling and just go with some friends and go in there and just hit the tours, you know, like just hang out with them for a week here, a week there, set up a galleries, book signings, pop-up shops, meet the fans, go on the radio and help promote the shows, and just have a blast, really. I mean, I want to go around the world. I also have something at the Monmouth Museum that's happening September 12th in New Jersey, by Red Bank, exit 109, where it's actually going to be a museum of my photographs, and it's going to be showcasing my book. I'm going to have my tour jackets. I'm going to have some gold records. I'm going to have my first darkroom set up there, because I still have my darkroom equipment. I kept everything. So I'm going to have that set up. I'm going to have the studio set up, photos all around the place. So it's going to be very interactive. and then I'm going to do like a keynote speaking kind of thing. I'm just starting to do that. Starting to just get used to it. I'm not a big talker, but I want to do more of it, and then I want to travel around the country and colleges or whoever wants me, and maybe share my experience with the younger generations to help influence them. Right now, if you go to CharityBuzz.com, I am auctioning off signed photographs of like Bret Michaels, Ozzy, and Zach, Ted Nugent. Some of my early shoots, I when I go see them, I have them sign them, and then I donate all the proceeds to an organization that I'm involved in. So right now at the Mount Museum, which is a nonprofit, I'm donating the funds to go there to help my show and help other shows in the future. And I also have a Zoom thing. I never did this before, so it's going to be a Zoom call with me for 30 minutes, talking about anything. Could be music, could be photography, could be business, whatever you want. You get me for 30 minutes and talk to me. I didn't do it before, so it'll be the first one. Plus, you get a book. I think you get a book in there signed and a photo too. So there's already a bid on it now. So go to CharityBuzz.com and you could, chat with me for a half an hour.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. At your exhibit, have you put any thought into possibly putting up like a backdrop and maybe giving fans the option to have their picture taken by you?
Well, yeah, I'm going to actually have a studio set up.
Ah.
I'm going to have my black. I was known for back in the day. I used to shoot them against a black background, and I used to put gels on them because it's easy. I used to shoot the bands with different color backgrounds because it's, back then there was like 4 or 5 magazines and you wanted to give them each something different. So I would just change the gels instead of changing the background, all the colors. I would change the gels, red, orange, blue, have them change the clothes, put some smoke on there. And so I just actually was there today and they ordered the black seamless. We're going to hang that up. And I actually have a mannequin of me with my purple pants I used to wear in high school and my combat boots, my bandana, and my Aerosmith shirt, and actually my Haunted Mansion jacket when I used to work in Long Branch scaring people. So I dug all that up, and that's going to be displayed there with my tour jackets and my gold records and stuff like that. So it's a museum. It's called Monmouth Museum. It's in the campus of or in the Brookdale Community College, right by Red Bank, exit 109 of the Garden State Parkway. So it's opening September 1st. It's by appointment only because of the social distancing. But on September 12th, we're having an exclusive party, or I don't know what you want to call it, but it's from 3 to 5. But it's very limited. You got to, sign up in advance and all that. But it's going to be up for 2 months. So I'm going to have my dark room there. I'm going to have, my posters. It's going to be cool. I was just there today, actually, dropping off a silk screen I did with the artist named Stephen Lacey, who we worked on this silk screen with Guns N' Roses photo in front of CBGB's, which is really cool. It's like 6 feet by 6 feet. It's huge.
Oh, that's awesome. That's super duper rad. As we creep over the top of the hour, I'd just like to take a second just to thank some of our sponsors that look out for us and support us. So I want to give a shout out to Bradley Entertainment. I want to give a shout out to Levy Metal Enterprises, their custom guitars and their stage props. Twisted Vines Horror Decor out of Rhode Island. And as always, Aces and Eights Skateboards out of Maryland. We appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much for taking an interest in the show and looking out for us so we can continue to look out for the fans and everything. And the next question mark that I wanted to throw at you is just kind of like an interesting thing is like, so I've done the press thing for a long time myself, as well as done, concert photography down in the pit and stuff like that. It's by no means even like a portfolio comparison, because the fact of the matter is it's like Bigfoot stepping on a fucking Smurf. But the one thing I did want to ask you that I thought would be kind of interesting is, since I know the feeling of being down in a pit with other folks that are jostling for the same positioning. What kind of stories can you tell about maybe rough experiences you've had trying to get that perfect shot? Any photo pit horror stories?
You just got to be aggressive. You got to just get your shot. I mean, my suggestion is like, forget about the photo pit. Like, get in the audience, go 10 rows back, like, you know, sneak in there, get a nice spot and shoot the whole show. That's what I did in the beginning. That's what got me the photos that got me into circus. I mean, the photo pit's fine. I love being in there, but I also love being in the crowd. You can get the best shots in the crowd, you know, 15, 20 feet back with a long lens. The bands look the best then. So don't think you have to be in the pit to get a great shot, because you're looking up at them. They don't really like those shots. And so just, you know, it's all about getting the photographs. You know, if you're serious about it, start your own blog or website or, you know, whatever, podcast, and post photos and get photo passes and get clearance. And if you're good, people are going to notice, and you'll get welcomed in.
Yeah, absolutely, brother, for sure. You know, it's definitely a cool experience. You know, I love shooting any of the shows that I've been able to do access to, so that's definitely super cool. But definitely know what you mean about like shooting from the crowd versus like getting up close and stuff like that, because some of those shots can definitely be tricky when you're shooting up their nose.
No doubt.
Yep. Psycho Steve, jump in, my good dude. We need that voice.
Okay, so the question is, there's always been a rumor about that you're partially responsible or fully responsible for Sebastian Bach joining the row. Could you elaborate on that?
Oh, well, I guess you could say I'm responsible, because if he didn't come to my wedding, he wouldn't have been in Skid Row. And the story is, I shot him in Madam X in 1985, or was it 86? 86, I think it was. And then the next year I got married, and I told my secretary to invite everyone to my wedding that I shot in the last year. And they were one of them. And I didn't think, I met them once. I didn't really know them. We stayed in touch a little bit, but they all got in a car and drove to my wedding and showed up. And he ended up singing with the wedding band. And at the time, Zach just got into Ozzy. He was another one that I introduced to Ozzy a few months earlier, and he actually was in Ozzy at the time. He didn't record with him or didn't anything like that, but he was at the wedding. And at the end of the night, Zach, Sebastian, and one of my good friends, guest Kevin Dubrow from Quiet Riot, was there, and they sang "Bang Your Head" and they did Led Zeppelin, and they played for about 35 minutes. Which actually, the footage I just dug up, and it will be released in the next month on Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone just did a feature on me. It's in the August issue right now. It's not online yet, but the story will be online, so it's only in the magazine now. I posted it on my website, so you can see the story. It's a double-page spread. They interviewed me. There's a bunch of photos in there. But they're going to do 2 stories on me. One is going to be from that spread, and then the next one's going to be the wedding. And they interviewed Sebastian and Zach too, and they're going to show for the first time in 33 or 3 years the wedding footage, photos. Not photos. The video of them jamming with Kevin Dubrow. I mean,
that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'm actually singing background too for Banger.
So that's so sick. That's so badass. That's going to be such an awesome thing to see. Salt and Pepper Jason, you're up, brother.
So being a photographer, I'm sure you get a lot of urges when you see certain things. Do you just stick with taking photos of musicians or people, concerts, or do you take other photos, like if you're out somewhere and you have your camera and you just have an urge, you're like, oh wow, I got to take a picture of that. Do you take like other pictures of like anything else, maybe just on your own, like when you're out, if you see like the sun going down or something, do you pull over and take a photo or something?
Yeah, back in the day, if you weren't a rock star, I didn't give a shit, you know, or a rock fan or anything to do with rock. I didn't care. I didn't care about sunsets. I didn't care about, you know, landscapes or anything like that. But when I was with Ozzy in 1986, when he headlined Monsters of Rock, I did want to shoot Stonehenge, you know, so I went there and I did a cool photo of that. And then just recently, like in the last month, I started, you know, because of all this stuff, I started, you know, trying to get healthy and everything. And so I started walking and running and riding my bicycle. So my daughter told me about this trail right by my house that she's been begging me to go to ever since she was little. And I'm like, I never went with her. I was always so busy doing stuff. So I went to watch the sunset, and then I saw the trail that she was talking about. And I said, I started walking it. I'm like, holy, this is nice. You know, I started walking. It was along the ocean, you know, by Highlands, Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey. And then I started seeing these rock formations, you know, like there was like these formations, and I'd never seen it before. I've learned since then that that's what people do. They kind of build rocks on top of each other and they make formations and all that. So I looked at them and I'm like, you know, I thought it was really cool. So I started taking my cell phone, and I just got this new cell phone, the 11, whatever, and I had the wide angle, and I started doing some things to it. And I made these little tiny rocks look like they were like hundreds of feet tall, you know, like Stonehenge. So I developed a site just for myself. I didn't even like invite people that's on my pages of thousands of people yet. You know, I don't know. I just wanted people to find it naturally. And it's called I Want to Rock Stonehenge. And every day I take my walk, or maybe 5 times a week, or ride my bicycle. My daughter's bicycle, actually. It's like a girl's bike I ride, and it's got like mirrors on it and music blasting. And I must look like a homeless guy when I'm driving this thing. And then I pull over when I see a new rock formation, and I get all excited, and I go out and I shoot it. So yesterday I actually went out with my friend Jerry Gaskill, and I found this really cool one. And then I found this Barbie doll with his head ripped off from some dog, and she's got like a rock climbing thing on. And I grabbed it, and so that's my new thing. So to show the perspective of these rocks and this girl, I put it up on there. And if you look at the photos from just looking at it, it looks like they're 100 feet tall, and it's literally this big, you know? So it's just like, I can't shoot rock anymore, but I shoot rocks, you know? And so I encourage anyone to go to that site and read my description and what I have to say about it and like it or whatever. But I'm almost ready to like share it with everyone and like say, hey, check it out. But I didn't like, you know, go to my fans yet or anyone on my pages. But it's called I Want to Rock Stonehenge. And I just started Instagram. And so I'm going to get that going and see where it goes. I'll probably maybe do a book with that one day. You know, why not?
Cool.
They're cool photos, silhouettes, and they're pretty cool. I get off on it.
That's awesome for sure. Dude, that's so cool. Angel, how are we doing, my friends? Are the fans still live with us?
Oh, yes, they are. Brian actually has another question. How do you get good drummer shots from the photo pit?
You don't. So what you do is 2 things you do. You get a really long lens, like a 600 millimeter lens, and you go way back like to the soundboard, and you just put it on a tripod and you zoom in there and you get it, you know, and the lighting's right. Or if you have access, you go on stage and you use a really wide angle, and usually the drummers are fun and they ham it up for you, and they see you up there, and sometimes they take my really wide angle lens and I like hold it up top and they're like drumming to me and stuff. So it's kind of cool. However, I remember when Black Sabbath had one of their reunions, I was their photographer and they always gave me all access, and Bill Ward was drumming at the time. And I went up on stage. It was really hard to get Bill because some drummers like Ricky Rocket, it's easy. You can be in the photo pit and you get a shot because he's got, he planned it. So, you can take pictures of him, he's like standing up real straight and, but then you got other drummers that are hidden behind all this stuff, So when they're hidden, like Bill Ward is kind of hidden, I need to get shots. I would go on stage. Now, I just remember going on stage and him looking at me and I didn't know if it was a good look or a bad look, but it was not a good look because he eventually goes, "Get the fuck out of here," because he was like, he had earbuds in his thing and he was trying to keep the timing and, I didn't know, you know what I mean? So I fucked up his shit, you know what I mean? Like I'd be pissed too, I'm so apologetic after the show. It's like, oh, I'm sorry. He didn't give a shit. He's like, "Get the fuck out of my sight." And so, you live and learn, So I learned from that, make sure you let the drummer know that you're going to be up there doing pictures. Give him the respect. I mean, it is Bill Ward.
Brian also wants to know, do you have any stories about Quiet Riot?
Yeah, Quiet Riot. One of my favorite bands, of course. Kevin was my buddy. Whenever I would come to LA, he would give me keys to his house, and even when he was on the road, he'd let me stay there. And it's funny because Kevin, they had all the success, and I did the Bang. Actually, where is it? There. I did the Bang Your Head cover.
Nice.
Wow.
Frankie actually drew that. It was a backdrop. And it was one of my, that was 1983. It went to #1. So that was really like, I was just starting out and they had this big success. So they kind of like took me under their wing. I traveled with them a lot, became really good friends with them. And whenever I would go to LA and I'd be at the Rainbow, bands would say, "Hey, where are you staying?" I say, "I'm staying at Kevin's house." And they would look at me like I was on Mars. What are you staying at his house for? Because, Kevin liked to talk shit, but, I'm sure he was like that in high school too. You know what I mean? Like, that's just people are people. Like, people like to talk, if that's the way you are or whatever. So, he rubbed people the wrong way, but he was the nicest guy and he was just being who he was. And he had a lot of success, and bands to this day, they do attribute his success to their success. Back then it was hard to, but he really did open up the doors to a lot of bands in the 80s, along with Frankie, Rudy, and Carlos.
I have a question as well. You took some great shots of David Lee Roth actually mid-air during the split. How did you get those shots?
Actually, when David jumped, I told him to freeze. I said, "Don't move." No, I'm only kidding. I've shot a lot of shows in a row, so I knew when he was going to do the jump, and you just got to get ready. And that shot, I don't like to use flash. Actually, Circus Magazine, in the beginning, required me to shoot flash because they liked that really sharp photo. But I used to mix the flash with the available light, the background. So I knew he was going to jump, because you could see him. I saw him in the back. I didn't see him for a while. I knew he was going to jump. And so I kind of pre-focused where he was going to be. And I kind of mixed the ambient light with the flash. And, it's a crapshoot, really. I mean, you just try, you get a feel for it. It's not like you have a meter and you can read what you're going to do and all that. And in a perfect world, that would be great. But there's all this going on. So, you get lucky once in a while. And that was when, I got lucky on that shot.
Absolutely, for sure. Hey, since you've got such a history, Mark, with Quiet Riot's camp, have you been in touch with Frankie while he's been trying to get healthy?
The closest I came to Frankie was about a month ago. I got a text, an email, a message from him saying that, hey Weiss, I want to can you send me a copy of your book and can you personalize it to me? I'm like, of course, are you kidding me? And like, he was one of the first people that I wanted to give a book to, because I had a list of people that I wanted to give the book to. I had no idea the book was going to sell out so much. And I was waiting for all these books to come in, because the fans wanted to buy the book. And I had a bunch of books that I would sign and send out. So I did that at the fans first and then the rock stars. So I sent them out and then I had no books left, except for a handful. I got Sebastian one. I got, a handful of people them. But Frankie was on the list, and I was waiting for this new shipment to come in, and it never did. They sold out. As soon as it entered on Amazon, it was number one until for a month straight. It was number one on the heavy metal best-selling list, and then it sold out, and now we're waiting for the second run to come in, which is supposed to come in like 2 weeks. So it's like. I went like I'm going like 2 months without books for people. So people are contacting me. How do we get a copy? And Frankie was one of them. So I just got a handful in this week, and he was the first on the list to send to. So I actually sent it to him, and I actually sent him a big photo of him wrapped up in the towel, like a blanket. One of my favorite photos that I have in my house that I look at every day. Like it's in my hallway there. It's like one of my favorite shots. It's all the four of them wrapped up in the blanket after we did this photo shoot. And I sent it to him, a big, huge photo, hopefully he'll tack it up and look at it. And he actually, I think he might've got it this like today or yesterday, cause I just sent it out and I know he just got home. So, I mean, I love to hear from him. I'm not expecting he's got his hands full. He's fighting the good fight. And trying to share his unfortunate health issues with everyone, just so other people can cope with it like he is. So I applaud him and wish him the best. And miracles happen, and let's you just never know.
Absolutely, for sure. And we at this show, I mean, we hold Frankie in such high regard as well. He's very well respected and he's a really good guy. So we always send our prayers out for him. And then one other question that I had for you is we can see, some of the records that you have on the wall behind you. And so my question is, what was the first one of those that you got and what was it for?
I know, that's a good question. I might, you know what? I think it's this one here.
Motley?
Is that Killers?
No, it's Shout at the Devil.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Also, which one? Probably, that might have been the first one. Yeah.
Nice. And is that from the inside the gatefold, like the shot of the band?
Yeah. And actually, that wasn't my photograph, but they gave it to me because they were buddies. I was getting them in the magazines. A lot of the bands gave me, a lot of the albums, gold records I have were illustrations or paintings or things like that. So I didn't just get them because I took the photo of the album. I got them because I was supportive of them, and they felt I deserved a plaque, a reward.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So as we hit about the hour and like the hour and a half point mark, we thought we'd just kind of set it up for like a final little round. Are you cool for a couple more minutes?
Yeah. Can I have time to get another drink?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'll be back.
Of course, no sweat.
Talk amongst yourselves.
We'd be happy to. And fans, thank you so much for watching everything with us, supporting us every week. We know we love you guys so much. Don't be shy with your questions. You know,
Yeah.
Angel's a murder machine. He's going to get you guys all completely covered with that. So we appreciate all you guys that have been watching. You know, Matt, you know, Zach, Bridget, Brian, you've had great questions tonight, man. So we really appreciate everything that's that you guys, you know, you're just involved as we are. You know, we live vicariously through you guys. So we definitely appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
Another thing you'd like to mention is also any of the business owners out there be interested in being a sponsor for the Metal Summit. Hit up any of us or all of us. You can also hit us up on the Facebook, Instagram, and also our YouTube channel. Or you can also email us directly to the Metal Summit at gmail.com. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, we're very much interested in, you know, what you have to offer. We love to know about it. And, you know, if the pieces fit, let's make them fit and let's build together. So we definitely encourage anybody who's interested in us. We're going to be interested in you. But how's everything been going with you guys so far this week? Everybody going well?
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Right on.
Now I know what to do on September 12th. So I definitely want to go to the event in Red Bank.
Yeah.
Road trip.
I think that's super duper cool. That was one of the things I thought that was great. One of the things that Mark was talking about was when it was like, dude, like the idea of just getting to be there and like, you know, getting like yourself shot by like Mark Weiss. I mean, how fucking cool is that?
That would be the fucking highlight.
Yeah.
Or just take my picture with him.
Yeah. Dude, people are just going to be dressed to impress, bringing girls that they don't even know to that event just to get a photo.
I make sure I bring chicks that I know.
Absolutely, for sure. So thank you so much again, fans, for tuning in and supporting us. You know, we love you guys, and we, you know, appreciate as we welcome back in Mark Weiss. But Psycho Steve, why don't you jump in, good sir?
Okay, you mentioned about before about being in the pit or actually being in the crowd with the fans and everything. Has there ever been a time that you've ever gotten hurt?
Oh yeah, I was. It was at Lemore's. Iron Maiden did a special appearance there, and
Charlotte the Harlot show?
what's that?
When they were called Charlotte the Harlot, when they did that one off.
I don't remember, but
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure they only played one time at the Lemore's, and
Right.
I just wanted to get the spot, you know. So I got my cameras and I set up, and I had it in my box and everything, and it just got crazy, and people were like trampling, and like I couldn't get up. It was the first time I ever thought I was like really in serious danger. I got out of it, and I was like, whew, like, you know, I mean, I'll do anything for a shot, but you know, like, I'm not gonna die for it, that's for sure. And I really felt close to like having some serious injuries.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'll piggyback off of Steve's question. Have you ever had any camera casualties?
I would often like take photos and like leave my cameras. Like I would find a spot in the audience, and then I would put the camera down, and then I would leave, and I would forget it, and then I would have to look for it. I'd freak out, like, what did I do with that camera? And I would find it, you know, of course, but I might have lost the camera or two.
Right on. It's kind of the nature of the beast, just kind of something that's a risk that you run, definitely being in those big crowds and stuff like that. Jason, jump in, dude.
Hey, So let's see. Have you ever or let's see if it when you it's a very odd thing that you have the plaques back there, the gold records. Did you ever in a million years imagine that that would be something that would be part of you going through this journey in life as a photographer? Because most photographers are about the photos, but when it's linked to something, then it brings on this whole new like meaning of meaning and experience of photography. So how did you feel when you were awarded for your first record that you were given, presented with, and how did that change the way you did your photography?
Yeah, it really has nothing to do with my photography. It has to do with me as a person. You know, I felt I deserved those. I'm not gonna say deserve, but I feel like I was presented these things because I was a friend and I was supportive of what they did, and that maybe what I did with my photography helped their career a little bit. You know, and I feel like that's why they gave me these. You know, so I could remember them for the rest of my life, or however long I was going to have them in my presence, to remember them by, you know, and I do. Every time I look at those, I remember them. I remember each person in the band. I remember the managers, the road crew, the experiences we had. So it mean a lot to me. You know, I wish I had more.
No, for sure. That's definitely awesome. Angel, how's everything going? Do we have any final round of questions from our fans?
Yes, Ian wants to know who was the model on Slippery When Wet.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to track her down. Her name's Angela. She actually, if you go on my the Decade That Rocked YouTube, there's actually footage of her in a beauty contest, where she won Miss something New Jersey. That was just on YouTube, and I kind of put it on my site because I thought it was interesting. But she reached out to me about 10 years ago, and she wanted me to photograph her for Playboy. She was like 40 at the time. It might have been 15 years ago. She wanted me to photograph her she heard that there was doing something on like girls at 40, and she wanted me to do some test shots. At the time, I had a girlfriend that wouldn't let me do it, so I didn't do it. And that was like the last time we kind of like hung out a little bit. And I'm really trying to find her and figure out where she is, because I would love her to help promote my book as the Slippery Girl, you know, and show up at the museum that I'm doing, because I actually have the original T-shirt that she wore, and there was a couple of them, and I have one of them. She might have one too, but we cut up a couple and we kind of did a couple different things. So we're going to have that at the museum as well. And it would be great to have her there. I mean, geez, that would be awesome. So she's, I don't know, Jersey. Everyone, I know her name's Angela, CHID, something like that. But I don't know. Anyone know her? Not hard to find.
If you're in Jersey, hit up me or Cycle Steve.
Mm.
Well,
Or
Cycle
Jason.
Steve. Or Jason. I forgot Jason's from Jersey. And again, I cannot say as a fan just what an honor it's been to really have you on the show. So here's my last question. What has been, I mean, just kind of looking back at your career. Oh, sorry. Let me just rephrase the question. I actually remember the question I actually wanted to ask. Do you still have the Circus magazine of the picture that you took of Steven Tyler?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Actually, I have it hanging up. Where is it? It's somewhere.
We've
It's
been
somewhere
sending Mark
around
all
here.
around
I
it.
actually have it hanging up somewhere, but I actually have the magazine. Yeah, of course. It was the Beatles were on the cover. It was the October 1978 issue of Circus.
Oh.
And they also ran a picture of Ted Nugent in there as well, a full page. But that was, I'll never forget that day. The secretary, Marianne, called me up and said, Mark, go to the newsstand and check out the issue with the Beatles on the cover. I'm like, why? He goes, just go there and check it out. So I went there. I was in New York, and I went there and I found it, and I was reading through it. And got to the centerfold, looked at it, and it looked familiar. And then I looked at my name at the bottom, and it said Mark Weiss. And I'm like, it was a good moment there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so badass. Psycho Steve, anything from yourself, my good dude?
Let me think. What's your favorite photo you ever took?
I mean, probably Ozzy and the Tutu, because it really was like my first, my first photo shoot for Circus, and it just caused such a ruckus, that photo was not supposed to be at the cover. It was supposed to be a small black and white photo in a magazine for the most athletic, because Ozzy used to jump around up and down,
Right.
So we had a goof. It was supposed to be most athletic, so it was supposed to be a small black and white photograph, and with all these other people. And of course, I shot it in color, and I bought the boxing gloves. He came out with the pink tutu, and then I saw the cowboy boots, the red cowboy boots in the corner, and I put them on him. And we just took some photos, and I just took the film and I turned them over to the magazine, and they used it for the cover. And it didn't go over great in the beginning over the Osborne camp, because you got the Prince of Darkness with the pink tutu on. It didn't go over well, but he got all this attention, and it kind of started the shenanigans of him posing with all these weird things, and I was partly responsible for a lot of them. And and like everyone has seen in his tours, he starts his show off with him dressing up like other people and like embracing it, so it really did start from that photo shoot.
Nice.
Awesome.
Hey, Mark, is there any like newer bands, like let's just say like bands that like within the last like 10 years that you've shot that you're like really into, bands that maybe don't have like the longest careers like yet? Like we had one of the members of the Black Veil Brides, for example, on this show already, or maybe a band like the Butcher Babies. Or is there a band that you can think of that you've shot in the last like maybe 10 years that is either getting to a peak or even just starting off that you're kind of stoked that you've gotten to shoot already?
Well, I like bands with an image. I like bands that rock. I like bands that have confidence and that put on a stage show. So I right now there's one band that I love, and they're called the Struts. It's their rock and roll. They're rock and roll. I love the 70s. I love glam. I love the Swede. I love T-Rex. Bowie. Those days. So you mix all that stuff up with some 80s, and you got the Struts.
Mm-hmm. Sure, man. No, that's awesome, dude. They put on a fucking phenomenal show. I'm a big fan of them myself. Jason, final question from yourself, my good dude?
Yeah, actually, have you ever shot any of the Beatles? You mentioned them?
No, I mean, I actually, Paul McCartney and Wings came by in the early 70s, and I stuck my camera in. It was like probably the first show I ever shot, but it was crap photos because I was in the back. So it's not even like Elton John is the first photo I have in my book referenced to as my first photograph at a concert. But along that time, I did shoot Paul McCartney and Wings because I love that album, you know, Venus and Mars and all that. I used to play it all the time, but I didn't have anything that represented any kind of photography, so I didn't put it in. My Elton John photo of it wasn't, you know, I'm not gonna say it wasn't great, but it just, I wanted to put something that represented like one of my first shows, and that was it.
Very cool.
That's awesome for sure. Angel, I'm going to kick it back to you real quick, buddy, just to make sure that no fans have chimed in with final questions.
Actually, we do have a last name for Angela. This is from Julie. Angela Chitneys, CHID.
Yeah, that's the Slippery Girl.
Yep.
Is she there?
No, but she was just providing the last name. But
Yeah.
we will find her.
Yeah. We got to find her. Come on, find her for me.
Psycho Steve is good at finding missing people.
Absolutely, for sure. Metal Summoners Unite, we're reaching out to you.
Yeah.
But thank you all so much for tuning in. Mark, we can't thank you enough, man, for taking time out of your schedule and coming on and sitting and talking with us. We had a great time. It was super duper informative. You know, just talking music, talking photography, just kind of talking life, man. Again, congrats are very much in order for your book, man. We're super stoked for you. We're so great that it's had such an amazing reception, because the fact of the matter is it deserves that kind of reception. So we thank you so much for taking that time again to join us.
Thanks. So go to my YouTube channel, The Decade That Rocked. I also, which I didn't mention, I have a sitcom out there called The Weiss Guy. And
Cool.
the first episode features Brian Wheat from Tesla and Chips and Up.
Nice.
And it's a 10-minute little feel-good little episodic adventure of these two guys from the 80s that never grew up, and they stalk the Weiss Guy. And you know, we're trying to develop something, but it's up there now, so it's
Cool.
kind of, it's so check it out, and also go there. There's a lot of content. There's interviews, and you can buy the book there. You can buy. Oh, wait a minute! You got the Decade That Rock T-shirt. Hello.
Cool.
You got, wait a minute, you got patches, remember those?
Yep.
And this new thing we got.
That's what I want. This is what I want.
Yep, that's the one I want too.
Shirt. Can you read that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants you to wear a fucking mask.
All right. This is a shoot we did in 1985 of him as Uncle Sam, and Dee wanted to do this statement. And so the benefit of the selling that shirt, the proceeds will go to getting some masters and people that can need them. So, you know.
That's awesome. And Mark, you also talked to us about off the air about that you're getting more books in, but tell everybody real quick where they can get your book at and the various packages that they can get from getting the book from you.
Well, you can get it on Amazon, of course, not for another few weeks, but you can get it thedecadethatrocked.com. You get postcards, like here, I got like these postcards. I love postcards. Who doesn't like postcards back in the day? So you got, you know, postcards like this. You know, you can mail them out too, you know. So you get 10 postcards for the same price as a book. I sign it for a few bucks more. You get a t-shirt bundle. I actually have a Bach bundle. Sebastian, when I sent Sebastian a book with some photos in it. Now, I didn't mean for him to like assume that the photos in there, that everyone gets them, but he assumed that everyone got these 8x10s signed by me, and all that, which I usually sell for $200 each. So I ended up creating a Bach bundle, we call it. So they get all the photos that Sebastian talks about that I sent to Sebastian in this bundle. And it's, you know, it's a few bucks, but these are signed by me. You can hang them up. They're archival, you know, prints. So there's that. I have different bundles. You got to just go check it out. I got prints that for sale too. And but just, you know, if nothing else, just buy the book and you know, share it with people and read it. It's easy reading.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, again, Mark, thank you so much for taking time, man. We really appreciate you. You've been great. And fans, thank you all so much We really appreciate you guys. We don't have this show without you guys. New guest announcement coming up on Friday. For Jason, for Angel, for Psycho Steve, I'm Jay. Again, we thank you very much, Mark Weiss. Tune in next week to the Metal Summit, all things rock, metal, entertainment. We love you. We heart you. Horns up, guys. We'll see you next week.
You are listening to the Metal Summit, your source for all things rock and roll.